arrest of Julius Malema or not. We have the sovereign right to pursue redress in this country to fix the injustice of the past, and this includes solving the unequal patterns of land distribution. We are going to continue to oppose the presence of Starlink, which belongs to Elon Musk in South Africa.
For its part, the MK party says President Cyril Ramaphosa should have used the occasion to account for the dollars found on his Phalaphala farm in 2020, as party spokesperson Nhlamulo Ndlela explains.
What you have there sitting next to Donald Trump is a fugitive from justice. What should be happening is that they should be prosecuting him and letting him and asking him to actually respond as to how was he found with all those dollars in his couch, and also then account according to the international law of the US, which is the FCPA. This is what should be happening here, because they are sitting with a person who has caused criminality, and that farm of his is a crime scene.
The MK party had previously called on the Trump administration to investigate the farm robbery, where approximately $580 was stolen from Ramaphosa's farm. The Freedom Front Plus leader Corne Melder, on the other hand, says that although painful things were brought to light, it was necessary to bring out the much-needed change.
South Africa was exposed last night before the eyes of the world as a country plagued by violence, with a struggling economy, collapsing infrastructure and widespread stagnation. That was the outcome of the conversation between President Ramaphosa and President Trump, and as a South African, it was rather painful to witness. It's necessary to understand that South Africa will not be successful economically as long as we continue with outdated race-based economic policies such as BEE, affirmative action, as well as expropriation without compensation.
Meanwhile, President Ramaphosa says a number of meetings with different South African ministers and their American counterparts is in their offing to iron out some of the outstanding issues, including trade and investment. I am Tebo Mokobe in Johannesburg.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wa zochitika pena paliponse.
Aphungu a nyumba ya malamulo mu dziko la Malawi akuchita zokambirana zawo pa zinthu zosiyanasiyana pambuyo pa nyumbayi kutsegulidwa masiku apitawo, ndipo kondani Nyamasa ukali nafe pompano chiyambireni aphungu akukambirana masiku apitawo ndi zovuta ziti zomwe zachitika mu nyumba imeneyi ya malamulo.
Ndingathe kunena kuti state of national address imene a president Dr. Lazarus Chakwera akhala kuipereka mnyumba ya malamulo imeneyi idautsa mpungwepungwe kwambiri nyumbayi, chifukwa pofika panopa mene ndikuyankhula pano ndiye kuti munafuna kubuka ndewu mnyumbayi. Leader of the house olemekezeka Richard Kimwendo Banda kuyimirira kuyankha koma mopsa mtima zimene amayankhula phungu oyimira ku Blantyre City South East Osama Suleiman, kunena kuti sona imene adapereka president pa 14 February ikuonetsa kuti palibe chilichonse cha zero chimene chidaperekedwa musona imeneyi, akuti imene ayichotse.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
Now, in celebration of International Day for Biodiversity yesterday, South Africa's Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment is hosting a 2-day National Biodiversity Offset Conference in Johannesburg. The 2-day event, which ends today, has gathered biodiversity and offset specialists, environmental assessment practitioners, competent authorities, commenting authorities, and also development and non-governmental organizations under one roof, with the aim to enhance the implementation and transparency of biodiversity offset processes within the country. Tutongo Beni compiled this report.
The conference is hosted in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and is supported by the South African National Biodiversity Institute, SANBI, and the South African National Parks, SANParks. During the conference, the Director General at South Africa's Department of Forest, Fisheries and Environment, Nomfundo Chabalala, officiated the launch of the National Biodiversity Offset web portal and the SANParks Proactive Biodiversity Offset Scheme. The Biodiversity Finance Initiative, supported by UNDP and spearheaded by the department in collaboration with Sunparks and Sanbi, seeks to develop innovative financial solutions for the expansion and effective management of protected areas. The National Biodiversity Offset Guidelines was published in June 2023. The guideline, established under the National Environmental Management Act, provides a comprehensive framework for mitigating the adverse impacts of development on the nation's biodiversity. Shabalala says the tools will ensure balance, which is critical in conserving the environment.
So basically, this event is a conference, and this conference will be going through the tools that have been developed. As South Africa, we are a mega diverse or natural country, and we need to conserve this. And obviously, we understand that as a country, we need to develop, but it's critical while we're developing, we need to conserve our ecosystems. And why we do that, we are pursuing an environment that is healthy, an environment that's good for everyone's well-being.
The Southern African nation is recognized globally as a mega-diverse country which boasts an extraordinary array of biodiversity that is integral to the nation's health, well-being, and economic vitality. Shabalala says the website will play a key role in showcasing the country's landscape and indicate where development is happening and if there's an investment in offsetting.
So basically, the first is the website. And I think the workshop, the conference is going to demonstrate the website, showing geographically the landscape of South Africa. And it is going to indicate where there's development and what is it then as you develop an area, what is it then you are actually investing in order to offset, to ensure that you do not deplete conservation in as far as that area is concerned. So different provinces, across the country, you will be able then to be in a position to, the individual IPs and implementers and stakeholders will be inputting information through this website, and as the department and entities will be able to see what is happening and are we really offsetting what has been taken out of our natural resources? Is it being offset?
The South African National Biodiversity Institute, SANBI, is an organization tasked with research and dissemination of information on biodiversity and legally mandated to contribute to the management of the country's biodiversity resources. Chief Executive Officer Shonisani Munjedzi says they will be releasing the fourth installment of the National Biodiversity Assessment later this year.
I think it's very, very, very important, especially this year with the theme that talks about harmony with nature and also sustainable development. So the work that we do as SANBI, South African National Biodiversity Institute, we bridge the gap between science, policy and practice. So we provide data, we provide information, we monitor what is happening. So the National Biodiversity Assessment as a tool is a tool to check and monitor the threat status to biodiversity, but also the protection level. How much protection are we according? We do that. We're going to do the fourth installment now. We're just about to finalize. I think it's going to be ready by the end of this year.
The International Day for Biological Diversity, which is observed annually on May the 22nd, marks the adoption of the Convention on Biological Diversity in 1992, serving to raise awareness about the essential role biodiversity plays in ecosystems and highlight the urgent need to halt biodiversity loss. For Channel Africa News, I am Tutongo Beni in Johannesburg.
All right, it's exactly 18 minutes after 12 o'clock Central African time. This is Africa Update. We're coming to you live from our studios in Auckland Park, Johannesburg. Now, today on hashtag Africa Update, we ask, We turn our attention to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the Senate has voted to strip former President Joseph Kabila of his immunity over allegations of supporting the M23 rebels. Now, this raises an important question as to it is time to rethink how immunity protects former leaders, and would like to hear your thoughts on that. Please share your views on Channel Africa's social media platform at Channel Africa 1 on X, and of course on Instagram at Channel Africa, and on Facebook we are Channel Africa. And of course you can send us a WhatsApp message or a voice note on +27 63 406 9126. This is Africa Update on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
We are on OpenView's audio bouquet. Channel 628. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
South Africa's Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has debunked the genocide taking place in the country, according to US President Donald Trump. Now, Mchunu made the clarification as he released the crime statistics for the fourth quarter of the 2024-2025 financial year, covering the period from the 1st of January 2025 to the 31st March 2025. Now, to unpack this, we're now joined on the line by the independent crime analyst, that is Dr. Chris de Kock. Dr. Chris, thank you so much for making the time. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the listeners.
Yeah, it does seem as though crime is generally seems to have decreased in the fourth quarter, and I'm keen to know what is it that we're doing right. However, a concern is rape and sexual assault and commercial crimes saw an increase. How do you see this one?
Okay. First, I want to highlight the positives. The positive is a decrease in murders. You know that South Africa now carry a very negative name for murders. We have seen what happened in Washington in the last 3 days. So murder is down with 12.4%. It was also down in the previous quarter, and I think the one before that. So for the whole year, murder will show a significant decrease. Attempted murder is down 5.8%. And then robbery with aggravating circumstances is down with 10.4%. And if one look at the subcategories, carjacking is down with 15.1%, and robbery at non-residential premises with 23.4%. My worry there is still house robbery at residential premises, which is only down with 0.4%, and that's actually basically only a stabilization. So maybe they should do more on that in that field. When we look at sexual offences, I've heard that there's quite a lot of talking about sexual offences, but if you take rape, for example, which is the most serious sexual offence, that's down with up with 0.3%. That's no significant increase. It's actually a stabilization. And the problem with rape and other sexual offences is that you get fluctuation in the reporting. So it can easily be that there was just a little bit of a upward fluctuation. It's a crime which people not always report, but depending on circumstances, depending on what they hear on the media, for example, they may report more, or there may be a station commissioner or a station commander which is more more acceptable to the females, and then they will report more of these crimes. For me, I think the biggest worry is fraud or commercial crime. Commercial crime, unfortunately, commercial crime is never broken down to the different subcategories. But that is the only one which is significantly up with 4.7%. 4.7%. And I know for a fact in my own environment that especially internet fraud internet fraud and fraud on the cell phone, fraud on the PC, that is increasing, and it is because there's all kinds of scams, and it is especially people, a little under financial pressure, and they will phone you and say, "Oh, there's somebody taking money out of your account. This is the fraud line of your bank. Please give us the following things, and then we can stop it." And then, unfortunately, people get flabbergasted and they give this information, and then money is actually withdrawn from their account. So this is a problem. But I must say the picture looks very rosy. If we can continue with this kind of decreases, like the one in murder and attempted murder and aggravated robbery, and those subcategories of aggravated robbery, if this can be a picture next year for all the quarters and for the next one, then we are moving in the right direction.
I'm glad that you're raising the issues around technology, because even myself, Dr. De Kock, my WhatsApp was actually hacked. Some of them are using my picture to ask money from people. But anyway, let's then talk about the farm attacks, where they were also highlighted by the minister today. Could this be because of the concerns raised by the United States President Donald Trump?
No, definitely. I think there's no doubt about it that the minister raised this quite right at the beginning of the press conference, because clearly they will have to explain to President Trump that there is no genocide in South Africa, and that murder is a problem. I mean, that have already, I think, Mr. Rupert and even some of the golfers actually told Mr. and even Mr. Steenhuisen that our problem is actually a very high crime rate, and especially violent crime like murder, attempted murder, robbery. Those was a year or two ago basically out of control. If I can take you back in history, before I come to the farm murders, we had a time in our history at the end of the 90s where murders were up in the 25,000 per year.
Right.
And then came the time of Commissioner Jackie Salebi, the late Jackie Salebi, and the President Thabo Mbeki. And then they said, no, murders must be managed downwards. It must be reduced by between 5 and 7% per year. And it actually started to happen with visible policing, with a lot of actions which was taken.
Dr. Chris? I'm sorry, I have to interject because of time. We're going to have to leave it there. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I guess we can maybe have it again, because I would really want to know some of your concerns that should be addressed promptly, with urgency. But thank you so much for making the time to speak to us on Channel Africa.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
All right, there you have it. That was Dr. Chris De Kock really unpacking the latest crime stats. You're listening to Africa Update on Channel Africa.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
Former Democratic Republic of Congo's President Joseph Kabila has had presidential immunity lifted and could now pave the way for him to face a military court on charges of supporting the M23 rebels. Now, for more, we're now joined on the line by a reporter in the DRC, that is Jimmy Shakrani Bokomera. Jimmy, thank you so much for making the time. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I understand that you've been watching that closely. The overwhelming majority of senators voted for the removal of immunity against the former president in a secret ballot. What was the atmosphere like in the Senate as the vote took place? How did you see it?
Yes, it was a decision which taken by the Congolese Senate, but most of Congolese did not attempt that. Maybe the senators of this great chamber of the Congolese parliament could take such a decision, against Joseph Kabila, someone who led this country in 18 years, and maybe a lot of people, a lot of Congolese was waiting that the President Joseph Kabila will not alleviate his humility, and it was like a surprise here in DRC. And some people they are wondering how maybe this vote was led by the Speaker of the Senate, the Congolese Senate, and there's something another things which surprised the Congolese is the manner of which the vote has been done, because until 8 p.m. Some member of the Senate was not take their last decision about this problem, this issue of Joseph Kabila. Most of what they are reproaching is to collaborate with group, the M23 and the IFC. You know, it's is operating in the eastern part of the DRC, and those issues would maybe lead the Senate to lift the immunity of Joseph Kabila. So it means right now it's gonna open the door to the justice. Just to open a great dash of against Joseph Kabila, which it means he's going to be floated by the Congolese justice. So it was like a surprise, because even last time you remember that they told about the presence of the Joseph Kabila in Goma, just in the eastern DRC, something which after the information to circulating, he he told to the he told to he wrote on the social media that he was not in Goma. So
Yeah.
this decision surprised many people here in DRC.
Right. Jimmy, what are the supporters of Kabila saying? What are we hearing on the ground?
Yeah, they are surprised also, because Joseph Kabila, his political is a political party PPRD, just for a long time, for some 1 month I think, since they announced he is arriving in Goma. The Minister of Interior and Security, Jackman Shabani, he put end to the PPRD, the part of Joseph Kabila. He put end to the activity in the whole country. So the supporters of Joseph Kabila, they understand that this is to see something like to mislead the former president in the political sense, and maybe to remunerate him, to give him the door for the justice in order to put end to his career, is what the supporters of Joseph Kabila are saying right now. But until now there is no official communique which shows what this party is thinking about.
Yeah, I wonder, what does this mean for Kabila and the country going forward? Jimmy Shukrani, thank you so much for making the time. Thank you for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you so much.
All right now it's time for the news with Nolutando Butelezi.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Approximately 300 miners remain trapped underground in South Africa's Sibanye-Stillwater's Kloof Gold Mine in Western Area. The miners have been underground since yesterday after equipment failure caused debris to damage the main shaft. A Kenyan court has found 2 people guilty of aiding a 2019 attack on Al-Qaeda-linked militants on a hotel and office complex in the capital that killed 21 people. And then the verdict is expected today in the trial of 10 people accused of involvement in the robbery of Kim Kardashian in Paris hotel room 9 years ago. I'll have the details at the top of the hour.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Right, and here's your sports news with Fikile Lingwai. Fikile, very good afternoon to you.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you and good afternoon, Innocent. Let me tell you, we begin with basketball. South African team made by basketball head coach Sam Vincent says their back-to-back wins in the Basketball Africa League Nile Conference shows their growth as the tournament progresses. The team won in the last minute after losing more games in the early days of the competition. The two wins see the South African representatives keep alive their hopes of qualifying for the playoffs in Pretoria next month, and Vincent feels his players are slowly finding their rhythm.
I would just say growth. Our team has grown. When you put new guys together, even when they're very talented, it takes time to build chemistry and to get to know each other. And now our guys have gotten to the point where they play together, they joke together. The bonding has really been happening, and we can see it on the floor. Guys are communicating, they're covering for each other, looking for each other, and that's making us a stronger team. So I think where we are today, in the next game, we want to play a little bit better. Our goal is to keep on getting better every time we play.
Mamelodi Sundowns defender Musa Lubusa is hoping Sundowns take advantage of playing the first leg of the Champions League final at home, as they will not underestimate Pyramids in their own backyard next week. This is what Lubusa had to say.
We mainly focus on ourselves. Yeah, we did get a chance to watch that game, and I think it's no chance that they got where they are, and it's really going to be difficult. But we have a very strong technical team that has been analyzing them, and also on our side as players, we've been analyzing them, see where we can capitalize on them, and as well as not neglecting us, how we got to where we are, and trying to work hard to make sure.
The 32-year-old is finishing off the season strong with regular game time, having appeared a fringe player under coach Miguel Cardoso until teammate Lucas Suarez came under heavy criticism recently. Lubusa started both semi-final legs against Al Ahly and proved his worth in Cardoso's eyes. But the player was modest when this was pointed out.
I think everyone is very important in the team. On my side, I just think, like you said, I haven't been playing, and what I did was just to support everyone that's been playing and make sure that when my time comes, I grab it with both hands. And also the coaching staff, they believed in me, and they always told me that I'm very important to the team, and that it showed when they put me in the semis.
And the Confederations of African Football head of TV and Communications, Luxolo September, has revealed the recruitment of veteran South African administrator Derek Blackensee is part of the continuing to grow the federation. He says the appointment is part of the enhancing of the African football.
We've just hired a South African, Derek Blackensee, to head our professional club football, because we are really serious about this part. We're looking at how we can give it a strong, not only in sentiments, but also ensuring that we are listening across the board to what people are saying. Just the design of the trophy alone took forever for people to decide and discuss about it. Obviously, there's a big discussion about how should interclub football look like in Africa. There is an African Football League. There is a Total Energies CAF Champions League. There is a Total Energies CAF Confederations Cup. How do we look at these products, and how do we ensure that each of them has an identity?
For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África @ newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
All right, now it's time for business news with Nosipo Zuma. Nosipo, a very good afternoon to you.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, team. Good afternoon. In your business news this hour, South Africa's Automobile Association AA has strongly criticized the government's decision to increase the general fuel levy. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana announced a 16 South African cents per litre increase for petrol and 15 South African cents per litre for diesel on Wednesday when he tabled the 2025 budget. The fuel levy hike, which is set to take effect next month, comes after a 3-year freeze. The AA has warned that it will exacerbate the cost of living for South Africans. Spokesperson Ellen Mandela.
We do think it could not have come at a worse time because consumers are currently having to battle high food prices, high electricity tariffs, high unemployment and the likes. And fuel is an input cost across all economic sectors. So when fuel goes up, it means transportation costs go up. It means operational costs go up, meaning that it drives up inflation. So consumers across the board, not just motorists, are going to suffer because of the increase in the GFL.
Mavimbela further says they will engage with civil society, labour and the transport sector to identify fair and sustainable revenue models.
We definitely do think that it's time for us to try to find other funding models for the taxes that form part of the fuel price, to looking at your general fuel levy as well as your road accident fund levy that forms part of the fuel pricing structure. Another thing is we definitely do think that there needs to be transparency and a forensic audit done with regards to the revenue generated and how it's used with regards to the general fuel levy and the road accident fund levy.
A Malian court has postponed for the second time a hearing on whether to place Barrick Mining's Lulu Gaboo gold mine under provisional administration to restart operations. The presiding judge, Muhammadu Debo Keita, says the state requested an adjournment until the 2nd of June. Mali's government has meanwhile asked the local court to appoint a provisional administrator to take over Barrick's mine, which it suspended in January over the alleged non-payment of taxes. Barrick has denied the charges. The German Statistics Office says the German economy has grown significantly more in the first quarter than previously estimated due to export and industry front loading ahead of the U.S. tariffs. The economy grew by 0.4% in the first quarter of 2025 compared with the previous quarters. Germany had contracted in the final quarter of last year by 0.2%, reigniting recession fears. However, Europe's biggest economy outperformed the Eurozone average growth rate of 0.3% in the first quarter. And finally, Britain has signed a deal to cede sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. This after a London judge overturned a last-minute injunction and cleared the way for an agreement the government says is vital to protect the nation's security. The multi-billion-dollar deal will allow Britain to retain control of the strategically important US-UK airbase on Diego Garcia, the largest island of the archipelago in the Indian Ocean. The financial components of the deal includes $4 billion to be paid by Britain to Mauritius over the 99-year term of the agreement, with an option for a 50-year extension and Britain maintaining the right of first refusal thereafter. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,159 naira 35, and Botswana it's 13 pula 32. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 122 shilling 37, and in Zambia it's 27 kwacha 19. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 65. Russia is 79 rubles 65. India is 85 rupees 87. China is 7 yuan 20. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 98. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 88 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,327 and platinum at $1,085 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $64.22 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Pozuma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
All right, a very big thank you to Fikile with sports and Nosipho with business. That brings us to exactly 12:44 Central African Time. On to this now. As the Africa gears, or rather, as the world gears up to observe Africa Day, South Africa's Freedom Park, in partnership with ZA Central Registry and Registry Africa, is set to host a groundbreaking Pan-African campaign, Silencing the Guns, Let the Drums Roll, on Sunday. The event will bring together all 55 African Union member states in a symbolic gesture of unity and peace. This year, the African Union is marking its 62nd anniversary under the theme Revisiting Our History, Shaping Our Future. To discuss the day further, we're now joined on the line by Professor Edith Paswana, Acting Executive Dean of the Thabo Mbeki African School of International and Public Affairs, who is currently in Tanzania. Professor Paswana, thank you so much for making the time. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon, South Africa. I hear that it's cold there. We are warm here in Tanzania.
Yeah.
And good morning to the listeners as well. Good afternoon to the listeners. Yes.
Indeed, Prof. It's very cold, but the African perspective, the conversations are keeping us warm here. Let's then talk about let's then talk about the day. What is the significance of Africa Day? Does it still hold that significance in your view?
Definitely, it does. Africa Day, we will all remember that Africa Day is celebrated on the May 25th because of a day. It's a day that commemorates the founding of the OAU in 1963. We will know that now what we used to call the Organization of African Unity is now known as the African Union since 2002. So the day holds significant importance for various reasons. The first one being its historical significance. You will remember that this day reminds Africans about unity and solidarity. When we were fighting, we were in the trenches around against colonialism, against apartheid, and against slavery, because we came together as Africans. And this day symbolizes that continent's unity in the face of historical challenges. And we also know that this day also promotes Pan-Africanism, which emphasizes our shared identities, our shared values, and collective progress as Africans. It's also important in the sense that it talks about our cultural diversity as Africans. It also it talks about the significance of us, our rich traditions, our rich heritage as Africans together. But lately also, more importantly, is about economic and development of our continent. And that alone highlights the continent's economic progress on the growth and the potential that Africa has in the world, and also dealing with some of the developmental challenges that persisting challenges that we are also experiencing as a continent, including poverty, inequality, infrastructure development, and all of these other issues. And this year, as we hosted the roundtable on Tuesday around the blue economy as well, we are going to be looking at the marine areas. If you know that Africa has about 38 countries that are coastal countries, and therefore it's important that these developmental challenges can be mitigated by us also focusing on the marine, the wealth that is around the continent in the seas as well.
I mean, this is the time, Professor Paswana, to speak about Africa and the opportunities that are here in the continent. And you spoke about some of the challenges that we're facing as a continent. But I'm keen to hear from you, what more can Africa do to ensure they take Africa to the people? I mean, to make sure that even in our education sector, kids understand and take pride being Africans.
There's a lot that needs to happen in that space of education and just not kids. Global awareness, I think, it's a very important thing that we need to do around this day, because the day on its own is about international cooperation. And when we speak of Africa, we are not just speaking about the continent. We will also know that around the world, we have Africans in the diaspora. And that's why this day is not only celebrated in the continent only, but globally as a result. And therefore, for young people to be able to understand who they are as African, take pride in their own identity, in their own continent, and also to look for opportunities around the continent. Instead of our children looking outside, many of our young people are drowning between the Mediterranean Sea there, trying to get into Europe. And that alone is a concern for many of our African youth and also our African policymakers. Why is it that our children want to escape Africa? Yeah. What is it that makes them to? And the issue of inequalities, poverty, underdevelopment on the continents usually are some of the things that makes our children to be drowning in the seas, trying to find opportunities. And therefore, that speaks to how we need to take advantage of this moment and try to foster economic growth, investment, and trade within Africa and globally, as well as strengthening our institutions, particularly our democratic institutions, right. Also promote good governance and regional cooperation.
Yeah, we're in conversation with Professor Edith Paswana, building up to Africa Day. She's currently joining us all the way from Tanzania. Now, Professor, talk to us then about, the day. Tell us about what is taking place in Tanzania and how Africa Day will be observed there.
Yes. At the moment, we have already started. On Tuesday, we had this Blue Economy Roundtable, Harnessing Blue Economy for Africa's Renaissance. And it was a group of scholars and researchers, academics that came together between South Africa and Tanzania talking about the issue. Because you will know Tanzania is significant in the sense that they have Zanzibar, they have Marine Institute around them, and they have blue economy booming here in Zanzibar. And the second, Wednesday, we had academic engagement or a town hall with the Chancellor of UNISA or the patron of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, Dr. Mbeki, and other scholars and at the University of Dar es Salaam. And the town hall also focused on the theme that the foundation, together with UNISA, has come up with, which is the state of the continent, reigniting African Renaissance. And I think our listeners in South Africa will also be delighted that we had Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi as well as one of the speakers at this important event that we had. And then we also, yesterday, it was a very, very important day for South Africa, because all the delegation that is here from South Africa, from both UNISA and Thabo Mbeki Foundation, together with the former President Thabo Mbeki, took a trip to Morogoro. I know that you will know that how significant Morogoro is for the ANC, because this is where the Solomon Mahlangu Freedom College was situated, and it was a very significant journey that we did. The president planted a tree there, being the third president of South Africa post-independence to plant a tree there after President Kgalema Motlanthe and President Cyril Ramaphosa, and yesterday President Mbeki also planted a tree there. And then we also had a laying of wreath there. We laid a wreath, the president laid a wreath at the the graveyard of former freedom fighters. And this was a very emotional day for all of us South Africans to just see around Morogoro where our people stayed, and the college for education that was built there for them, and how it was handed over to the government of Tanzania, that today it hosts the University of Agriculture, so in the university. So it was a very important day for all of us to see and walk this journey that our young people after 1976 came to Tanzania, and they were in Dar. And I think the authorities there, as they share the stories, that they were becoming so many, because in other African countries, the living conditions were poor. So they came to Tanzania, and they were becoming a threat to Dar es Salaam.
Yeah.
And then they said, let's take them elsewhere. And land that the Mwalimu Julius Nyerere donated this land to the ANC, and it was significant because it's in a bush and in a lowland where they wouldn't be picked up easily for rearrest. And I think that is a very significant place that we visited yesterday. On today, we had a high-level business breakfast with businessmen around here, and some of them from South Africa. And this was a high panel discussion with reflections from the patron as well. And tomorrow, we will be having the big day. The day is going to culminate in this big day of Africa Day celebration.
Prof, just as a parting shot from me, this is taking place as South Africa is, chairing the G20 summit. What message do you have for Africans as we're leading to this day?
For me, I think the biggest thing for Africa is that we need to be together. International cooperation is very important, that we also, as Africans, must be able to have our voice within this changing global order, because we can see that the global order is changing, and that spirit, we need to reignite that spirit of African unity and solidarity against these forces that are coming. And these forces that are coming, whether they are from the West, the East, or wherever in the world, they should find us having one voice that will be able to take this planet, this continent to the next level.
All right, that conversation brings us to 12:56 Central African Time. That was Professor Edith Paswana, Acting Executive Dean of the Thabo Mbeki African School of International and Public Affairs, who is currently in Tanzania. Prof, thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, you're listening to Africa in Business. It has just gone 12 minutes, or rather 12:57 Central African Time. All right, joining me in studio is Teboho. Teboho, I know that you have got a beautiful show ahead of us. I always listen to you guys. Your conversations are intriguing. What can we expect from the
show? Listen, as always, intriguing conversations, like you said. But it's a music-themed Friday this afternoon on the Upside. But we start off in the first hour with our influencer series. We continue talking to influencers who have paved a path on the entertainment part, on the entertainment industry. Those who have not just created content, but they're now moving that content from the phone to television. They're now becoming actors. They're now becoming musicians, which is absolutely amazing. Our influencer this afternoon is named Thaddeus. I don't know, maybe you've seen his content on social media, on TikTok at some point, but he's our influencer for the day. And then we talk about a boxing match that will be taking place tomorrow at Carnival City. I don't know, when was the last time you went to a boxing ring? Did you say, when was the last time?
No, let me not lie. I've never been.
You've never been to a boxing match?
Yeah, man.
Maybe tomorrow you'll be there, because they've got the
Carnival City.
Carnival City. It's going to be an IBF Continental Africa Junior Lightweight title fight. And we'll be talking all about it, finding out who will be competing and the other matches as well. And then we are joined in studio by Mozambique artist Asa Matuse about her latest body of work. And then award-winning Nigerian artist Mo Easy joins us later on during the show. That's all coming up on The Upside.
So these are not finfluencers, influencers.
So wow, finfluence. They're not finfluencers. They are proper influencers. They're just entertainment and lifestyle influencers. This is the first story that we'll be doing with Thaddeus. He's a lifestyle influencer. He does skits and he just talks about crazy things. Yeah.
All right, that's the Upside with Debza coming up. Well, that's a time we have. That's my lot on Africa Update. The time is 12:59. From myself, Innocent Semosa, and the team behind the scenes, it's goodbye and God bless.